CNN has been speaking to Trump voters ever since he's been elected, and I love these panels that they do with the voters because it kind of gauges where they're at in regard to their support for Trump. Have they lost their support for Trump considering all of the different scandals he's been involved in, the infighting, the drama on Twitter? Well, Alisyn Camerota is usually the CNN reporter who speaks to them, and she wanted to know whether or not the latest kerfuffle involving the NFL impacted their support. Take a look at what they had to say.
How many of you are feeling just as positively today about Donald Trump as you were on election day? 2 of you. How many of you are having some second thoughts or reservations or regret your vote? 3 of you. Okay, so Jordan, what was the moment that you started regretting your vote?
A lot of it had to do with his choices for cabinet officials. I'm a high school teacher. His choice for the Secretary of Education is completely unacceptable to me and most of my colleagues.
Why? What's the problem with Betsy DeVos?
Inexperienced. She now is in charge of public education. She doesn't seem to believe in it. And that was a very big detriment to me.
Peyton, what was the moment that you started having second thoughts?
He's a businessman. I thought he could get the deals done. And once I started seeing that he was too busy tweeting or not really understanding the kind of way Congress and politics really works, I was a little disappointed. What
did you think he could pull off?
I was hoping for his travel ban to kind of go through and not be so divisive. I was hoping for a health care repeal and replace.
Mark, how about you?
I think it was the day after Inauguration Day.
Wow.
Yeah, so just to elaborate on that very last answer, he was annoyed with Trump over the whole crowd sizes issue. He thought that it was ridiculous and petty, and he wanted him to focus on more important things like, the stuff he promised when he campaigned.
Yeah, so look, these guys, as you can tell in their answers, want him to do the things that he promised. We don't agree with them. They're Trump voters. I don't want the Muslim ban. I don't want the repeal and replace, but they do. But they're starting to get annoyed with him. By the way, you think, CNN, fake news. Well, no, they have these panels. This is the first time that I've ever seen a majority flip, or even really a significant minority. One panel that was done recently, it wasn't CNN to be fair, it was another group, it was 25 for 25. They all were still supporting Trump.
Right.
They had not turned at all. And most of the CNN panels, no one had turned. This one, finally, 3 out of 5 have turned.
Yeah, they've turned, and I think it's because enough time has gone by where they're realizing, okay, there are no legislative wins. And at the same time, things have become more divisive. Politics has become more polarized, and it's discouraging. So I'm happy that people are at least aware and they're waking up and they're not just blindly supporting him because they voted for him. Now, this isn't a representative sample, obviously, but it still kind of gives you an idea of what some of his supporters are thinking.
Let me just, before we go to the next one, just a couple of quick notes. And you see the variety of reasons why they're turning. And so I think the first guy is probably a little bit of an outlier, but we've covered cases like that before. They didn't really realize that he was actually going to do the things that he said, some portion of his voters. So we cover the story of the guys down on the border who were all voted for Trump in Texas, and they're like, oh, but he's gonna build a wall right through my property. Well, that sucks. Of course, didn't you hear any of the things that he said? And then the guys who had their friend and neighbor deported in the middle of the country, and they're like, well, I didn't know he was gonna deport the good guys. I thought he was gonna do the bad hombres. In this case, he's like, oh, he really meant it when he said he is going to cut public education. And he did, and he put somebody in charge. So that's him delivering on his bad promises, right? That they thought, no, don't take him seriously, don't take him literally. But I think the most of it is guys realizing what we were saying all along, but their job is not politics or to do a show, so they weren't knee deep in it. They just saw, hey, that guy's talking like a real human being versus the other one that's talking like a robot and the establishment and a regular politician I can't stand. So what they missed was his incompetence. That's why I did the Loser Donald segment. That's why I did 100 different stories literally before the election to tell you how incompetent he is. I didn't talk about what a bad guy he was. I talked about what a loser he is. And now that's his supporters going, I didn't know he wasn't gonna get anything accomplished.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, In the next video, they specifically address Donald Trump's tweets to NFL players who refused to stand during the national anthem.
How many of you are comfortable with the president weighing in on what's happening during the national anthem and some players taking a knee? Are you happy that the president talked about it this weekend or tweeted about it? Nobody's happy that the president weighed in.
I think that these players have the First Amendment right to kneel during the national anthem or sit out. And it's just an argument that really didn't need to be picked. And now it's what everybody's talking about when there are so many other things that we could be talking about, like the hurricane in Puerto Rico.
So why is President Trump weighing in on this?
I think it's because he loves America. I don't like the disrespect that these players are showing. But on the other hand, as my husband and I both say, we may not like it. But my husband served 21 years. My brother-in-law died in service to guarantee both the NFL players' rights to free speech and the president's right of free speech.
I'm a son of and a grandson of veterans, and I was always taught that I might not like what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. And that's what the First Amendment's about, and that's what this country's about.
Oh my God, that made me feel so good.
Yeah, you see that?
So
There's
much
hope.
respect for Kathy Gibson especially, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to like it, but you're right. I mean, that's what our soldiers fight for, to maintain democracy and freedom in this country. And that's what they're doing. They're practicing their First Amendment rights. Having the president urge NFL owners or team owners to fire them is crazy.
Yeah, so look, for the Peyton, the guy on the left side, remember he was the one that's in favor of the travel, what he calls the travel ban, which is in reality a Muslim ban. It's not like he didn't sign on for discriminatory policies, but he's not like Trump, where Trump is actively racist. And that's the whole point, whether it's the travel ban or attacking black players for being against police brutality, et cetera. Peyton's like, well, I mean, I don't get it. They're Americans. They do get to have their opinion, right? So even if some people might be in favor of discriminatory policies I don't agree with, still their heart might not be in the wrong place. And we have to keep an open mind about that too.
Right.
Or they're certainly not anywhere near where Donald Trump is in terms of actively disliking these different groups and working against them.
Absolutely, and just one comment in regard to the guy that you were talking about who's in favor of the Muslim ban. I got to give him credit for bringing up the issue of Puerto Rico because, and this is my bad, this is my fault, my bias, but I would have just assumed that Trump voters don't care about Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so to hear someone who voted for Trump and who supported Trump say that, it just shows you, the human side that, oftentimes in the media does get dehumanized because of some of the more hateful rhetoric that they've supported from Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. In fact, he said in another part of the interview that he didn't understand why Trump was more eager to attack the black NFL players than neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
That's a great point. It's a great point. And when Alisyn Camerota asked, why do you think that is? He said, quote, I wish I knew, it completely baffles me. And then Mark O'Brien, one of the guys you just saw there, said about him talking about the NFL instead of criticizing neo-Nazis, he says, that is a huge concern of mine. What is going on in that man's mind? So this is really heartening because more so than, hey, we're gonna get him politically and all that talk. No. It's encouraging to see that, yes, still at the end of the day, some Republican voters, unlike Trump, do understand the point of the country. They do understand that we can disagree, but still respect the freedom of speech and respect other races.
Absolutely.
And be unified against things like neo-Nazis. Of course that should be the case. But with Trump, after Charlottesville, it's like, there are good people on both sides. He hasn't even said that there are good people on both sides of the kneeling issue.
Yeah.
He just calls them sons of bitches and says they should be fired.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely nuts, and it's good to see that really conservative Americans are saying, hey, we get it. We know what this country is about. And it is diversity of opinion, and we're all allowed to have our opinions. And it's weird that the president doesn't understand that. If you like this video, you'll love the whole TYT network. Check it out at tytnetwork.com/join.